Hello people, welcome back to my channel. So as we are all aware, the Halloween season is well and truly upon us. Because of this, I want to do a few Halloween themed videos on this channel. Last time I did some Harry Potter pumpkin carving. This time I'm reacting to some scary Harry Potter fanfiction. So without further ado, let's get on with the video, shall we? Let's see if I can find some truly scary Harry Potter fanfictions. Okay, so the first one I have come across is called Manslayer by Lady Salazar. I've read a bit through this one already and it has a bit of a long intro. The intro is basically different characters like Hermione, Remus and Ron when they first discovered that Harry Potter would become a murderer. Ron and Hermione find themselves up against 50 Death Eaters with Harry Potter nowhere to be seen. Harry eventually appears, having brought with him a katana infused with magic. If the aura spreading from the blade to surround the wielder was any indication, the Death Eaters heretofore tense, relaxed, and some had the stupidity to laugh. The robed figure chuckled lightly in reply to their mirth. Let's dance, shall we? The next 30 seconds were nothing short of a bloodbath. 37 Death Eaters, because they had got rid of a few of them before Harry had arrived. By the way, they don't know at this point that it's Harry. The 37 Death Eaters were sliced to bits by the katana of the interloper. Hermione vomited at the sight of the Death Eaters, dead or nearly so on the ground. Ron himself barely kept from doing so as well. "Who are you?" Hermione whimpered. Ron looked up. The figure swept off his hood. Black hair and green eyes mixed with bright amber met those of two he had saved. Harry, distraught and sickened, Hermione chose that moment to faint. Ron caught her and, holding her close, silently questioned his friend. The hazel eyes softened just a bit, while the expertly bland expression did not change at all. "I'm going on alone," he said quietly. "Go back to Hogwarts, train, keep your head down, and forget about me." Oh, how murderous. Harry is so dramatic. Ron's eyes widened. But Harry gestured to the motionless bodies of the Death Eaters. "This is only the beginning, Ron," he said. "By the time I return, by the time this is finished, I will not be Harry Potter, your friend. It is best for you, and for Hermione, and for Ginny, and for everyone else to forget about me." Ron did not want to lose his friend. He wanted to follow him still, but he knew he couldn't. Harry turned away, ghost of a sad smile on his lips. Goodbye. Even 10 years after Harry had finished without a trace and threw the wizarding world into anarchy, even faced with the bodies of countless Death Eaters brutally slaughtered by the blade they knew only one wizard wielded, Ginny did not believe her Harry could be a murderer. Ron and Hermione tried to convince her, tried to tell her to let him go. Not that they had, but the fact remained crystal clear in her mind. Her Harry was a hero, not a butcher. But the broken, sobbing, infuriated and betrayed mess that was Ginny Weasley was being forced to realise one unpleasant fact. Her Harry didn't exist anymore. "Well, hello, Tom. It has been a while." The ethereal figure standing on the step leading up to the entrance hall of Hogwarts was like no person Ginny had ever seen. He stood at nearly 6 feet and his ebony hair spilled down nearly to his waist like a waterfall. His skin was like porcelain. His eyes were honeyed amber and swirls of brilliant green, and his robe was burning scarlet, or most of it at least. His infamous katana was sheathed at his side, hanging innocently. He was beautiful, a demon in the guise of an angel. Voldemort gazed at him thoughtfully through crimson eyes. "Who would have thought," said the Dark Lord, as though to himself, "that Harry Potter would be a hunter? He who slaughters mercilessly. Now would generally be the time to offer you a place at my side. Unfortunately, one with such power as yourself can hardly be trusted." The horde of Death Eaters and dark creatures at Voldemort's back shifted nervously. Here's the man who has single-handedly killed as many as Dark Lord's forces as they had others. Here was someone Voldemort himself saw as too much of a threat to be trusted to serve. On the other side, those who fought on the side of the light were hardly any better off. The one they had seen as their saviour had returned, as a terror rivalled only by Voldemort himself. He fought for the right ideals, but how he did so. This demon in angel's guise was as much of a monster as the one he fought. Voldemort motioned for a certain faction of Death Eaters to engage the sword wielder. Apparently he had been prepared for an appearance by the boy who lived, because 30 black-robed minions unsheathed their swords and charged him. No one saw him move. 1 second, the man formerly Harry was standing on the steps with his guard down. The next 4 Death Eaters lay on the ground, dead. The entirety of the group was slaughtered in seconds. "How insulting," said Harry tonelessly, lip curling just a tiny bit. "Have you none better?" He bowed his head and shook it slowly, ebony hair falling in front of his face. He pushed it back patiently, and upon looking up, the more observant saw the green in his eyes was receding. He raised his katana, lips twisted in a mockery of a smile, and the massacre began. 15 minutes later it was over. The aftermath, an army of butchered men drowning in their own blood on one side, only 17 dead on the other. Unbothered, Harry reached for a spot of pink on his mostly scarlet robe, and with the blood collected on his katana, dyed it darker to blend with the rest. Ron, Hermione, Ginny, and scores of others he had known watched his little ritual with wide eyes, recognising what the now fully scarlet robe meant. It was a marker of how much blood he had shed. The expressions on the faces of many of the people he had left behind meant they did not appreciate the necessity of his actions. Ron looked sad but seemed to understand. Hermione looked ill and unbelieving, and Ginny was glaring at him, eyes shining with hatred and betrayal. "You said when you returned that you would not be the Harry Potter who was our friend," Ron murmured. "The man who was once Harry Potter said nothing. Then, that is true, that is." "You're not my Harry at all," Ginny broke in, snarling. "You're a monster." The sword wielder chuckled softly. His glinting amber eyes bore into the redhead's brown eyes. "I am what was meant to be a prophecy," he whispered, the statement carrying despite the low volume, "but perhaps too much to be considered as such." Hermione spoke up, trembling horribly. "Then what do you consider yourself?" The amber eyes travelled to the slaughter its owner had brought into being. A flicker of satisfaction lit in the emotionless orbs as the man studied the carnage he was responsible for. Harry paused before formulating his reply, pondering his answer. Then he returned his gaze to his former friends, lips curved slightly. "I was always partial to manslayer," he whispered. So there you go, the first Harry Potter scary fanfiction. What did you guys think? I personally didn't think it was that scary. I need a bit more blood and gore for it to be scary. The second fanfiction I'm going to read for you guys today is called Harry's Madness by Silver Locker 890. Chapter 1, Rage. Harry stood listening to the argument between Weasley and Lucius. He stood there wondering a single question. Why me? Why, Harry thought, his mind a rain cloud of sorrows. Why? What have I done except the best for them? I defeated Voldemort as a child due to my mother, true, but I still defeated him, and I stopped him from getting to the Sorcerer's Stone. Okay, this person's American, but I stopped him from getting to the Philosopher's Stone. I defeated the memory of Tom Riddle left in the diary and his pet basilisk, true. If Fawkes hadn't shown up, I would be dead, but that diminishes the feat in no way. And I saved Ginny as well. In my third year I saw Voldemort's servant Pettigrew escape and freed my godfather, although those are things I can't tell anyone. And last year I came out of the Triwizard Tournament with Cedric Diggory's body in my arms. I saw Voldemort rise, and is this my reward? My thanks for giving my all? For living my fear almost every day? To be left in the dark by my friends and honoured by my enemies? Tears almost sprung to his eyes, and then they were pushed back by a flood tide of sheer anger. More hatred than Harry had ever felt rushed to the front of his mind. He barely heard Fudge say, "This way, Lucius," and in it a single thought came out. Make him pay. Mr. Weasley, taking one look at Harry's haggard and drawn face, decided to stay quiet. The history of wizarding might have changed if he had spoken, but he said nothing. Harry, left to his own thoughts, brewed them into a stew that was black and thick and vicious. I will make him pay, he thought, letting darkness nestle in his mind like an owl coming to roost. I will strike them down one by one. They will learn to fear me. I am not a child to be pushed about. Okay, we're just going to skip a few bits, shall we? We know something's brewing in Harry's mind here. Sunday, the first week of Hogwarts school. The day of two things of import happened, related very heavily. The day Harry Potter learned telekinesis and Draco Malfoy died. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. Harry had been in the library every spare second researching what the wizard themed force projection, the magic of throwing physical force as concentrated power. Harry had narrowed down his choices of two magic spells, one that emitted force, one acted out a set distance away, the Mobilis Longius charm. Harry chose the latter and practiced every day. At first, just using this spell was tiring, and his mind could only move small objects, feathers, hats, socks. But in 2 days of almost constant practice, he found he could move larger objects, his heavy books, his dresser, and once when no one was looking, he used it to trip Neville Longbottom. Everyone had laughed and figured that Neville had tripped on his own feet, but Harry knew better. Neville's trip meant Malfoy's death. was near. Harry's plan was very simple. He would wait outside the top of the stairs leading to the Slytherin house with his invisibility cloak on. He would wait until he saw Draco's gang, him, Crabbe and Goyle most likely, and then quietly cast the telekinesis charm on himself. When Draco got to the top, Harry was going to hurl all his might at him. Draco would fall, breaking his back and skull against the stone. Harry waited that night inside his cloak, an expectant look on his face. Strands of hair fell into his face, and his lips curled in a strange snarl. Anyone who could gaze at him then, through his cloak, would swear they had glimpsed a demon. He heard rather than saw Draco's group walking up the stairs. Draco was telling bad jokes that Crabbe and Goyle were both laughing at. Harry grinned. "Enjoy your last joke, Malfoy." As Draco topped the stairs, blonde hair perfectly combed and looking immaculate in his expensive robes, Harry shoved with his mind. Harry had a very pleasant view of Draco's face, looking perplexed indeed, as he saw that his own body was falling over the banister. He was already past it when Crabbe and Goyle caught on. Goyle tried to grab him, but his hairy arm came up far too short to grab Draco. Draco uttered a single choked scream before his skull imploded on the stones below. Inside his cloak, Harry grinned. The darkness closed around him. Okay, admittedly that one is a bit more entertaining than the last one. They all seem to be about Harry going mad though. Okay, so as I thought, I am struggling slightly on finding truly scary, horrific Harry Potter fanfictions. So what did you think of the scary, not so scary Harry Potter fanfictions that I read to you today? Did you enjoy the video? Please leave a like if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you're new to join my little magical corner. Thank you all very much for watching. Happy Halloween, and I will see you next time.